Good morning. I'm Stephen Malott. I'm the mining analyst with CHF Capital Markets. We certainly are cursed to live in interesting times anyway, but we see gold hanging around $2,900 this morning in the face of a too strong US dollar. I believe the Federal Reserve Chair has indicated he's not prepared to cut interest rates in the States anytime soon. So the dollar remains strong, but then so does gold. So it's a good time to be looking at people that are out there putting decent gold projects together with high chances of success and discovery in safe jurisdictions in North America. And that's who we're meeting today with Athena Gold Corporation. With us today is Koby Kushner. Koby's currently the Chief Executive Officer of Libra Energy Materials and soon to be Chief Executive Officer of Athena Gold. Koby is a mining engineering graduate from Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, and is licensed as a professional engineer in Ontario. But he also holds a chartered financial analyst designation, which is interesting. Koby's worked at several mines in Manitoba and Ontario, seeing projects through from exploration through development and operation and production into closure. He spent some time as a equity research, with a mining finance company, and has written up a great number of papers. He's put together a really solid exploration team that's going to head up these projects and get out there and make some discoveries. So I'll turn it over to Koby now, and he can take us through the Athena Gold story.
Great. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Kathy, for putting this together. I will share my screen and walk everyone through the story. Can everyone see this? Oh.
Not yet. Here you go.
Yeah, well, thanks for that warm introduction. I'll save everyone from reintroducing myself, but just to give everyone a bit of backstory, after I decided I didn't like the sell side equity research, I didn't like finance, but I really liked the rocks and I wanted to get back to the rocks. So I quit my job at Red Cloud Securities after PDAC 2023. I started up a private energy materials exploration company, so primarily lithium exploration, and it's still private. It's called Libra, and we kind of timed it at the worst time in the lithium market, but we did okay. We made more new grassroots lithium discoveries than any of our peers did, on a dollar raised per discovery basis. That being said, lithium, we all know what happened there, and it's been very hard. That being said, we kind of came out of it okay. We ended up doing a $33 million deal with a company called Kobold, Kobold. That's the AI Bill Gates backed company. And throughout this process, we developed a close relationship with a local prospector in Ontario, and we optioned off one of his lithium claims, and Kobold is now spending a lot of money to earn into that. So he approached us after he found out about that deal that was coming, and he was like, "Guys, I'm blown away by what you did in such a short period of time for such a young team, and not gonna lie, I didn't expect much from you guys, but you did really well. And look, I've got this gold project, and it's my baby. I don't even put it on my website or any of that. It's something that I've been waiting for, not only the right market, but for the right team. And I want you guys to take it. I'll give you a good deal for it." So we actually already knew about this asset. It's called Laird Lake, and it's in the Red Lake Gold Camp. And we already knew about it because a friend of ours got her master's degree on this project. So I was made aware of it first when I was living in Red Lake, working there in about 2018. And we couldn't say no to it. We already knew about it. We loved it, and we acquired it under Libra. My shareholders under Libra were like, Koby, I got in this for the lithium. Don't be pivoting off to gold now. And I was like, no worries. Well, we're going to spin it off into a separate entity with its own dedicated group of gold investors. And while I was doing this, I was introduced to Athena Gold. And Athena was a company focused on Nevada exclusively. And we worked out a deal where we vended in our Laird Lake asset into Athena Gold because they really liked the asset. And then partway through our discussions, they actually said, Koby, we actually could use your team as well. We don't have a technical team. And we kind of walked ass backwards into a discovery hole in Nevada, and we don't know how to market it. Like, no one knows about this story, but this is 5.3 grams over 33.5 meters, 4 grams over 52 meters that ended in mineralization. And, we're a sub 10 million market cap. So we kicked the tires in Nevada. We liked what we saw. And we think that there's further discoveries to be made there. That being said, Laird Lake is the grassroots blue sky type of upside. And then we have an existing discovery with a historic resource to fall back on in Nevada. So I don't know my audience super well, but I'm going to assume that people are familiar with the Red Lake Gold Camp. It's a very prolific gold camp. If you're not familiar with it, it's where Rob McEwen and Gold Corp got their start. So the famous Red Lake Gold Complex, after they made their high grade zone discovery in the early 2000s. In 2004, they were mining it, and at their peak production, they were mining 520,000 ounces a year at an average grade of 77 grams a ton. So nowhere else in the world can you produce at that grade at that kind of scale as well. And what's key about this camp is that it's produced over 30 million ounces of gold. And without going too deep into the geology, but it's super important here, 94% of all ounces ever mined in this district occur within 300 meters of the contact between two major rock groups. You have the Balmer rocks and the Confederation rocks, and where those rocks meet, within a 300-meter buffer of that is where most of the gold in Red Lake has been mined. So you have your exploration model very well established here. And we drew that out in these red dotted lines. That's that contact, the Balmer-Confederation contact that I talk about. And each yellow dot that you see on this map is a historic drill hole as recorded by the OGS. And basically anywhere along this contact has seen a lot of drilling. Anywhere where this contact has been mapped historically, anywhere where it's missing is just because it's patented ground and they didn't have to file assessment reports for their drilling. So we don't know where exactly they drilled it, but we know here at Madsen, this has been heavily drilled off. I used to work there. And then there's this 10-kilometer stretch of contact on our project, Laird Lake, and it's basically naked of yellow dots. So why is that? So going back to the Scrolls Master's thesis, historically, if you weren't within 300 meters of that contact, and if you weren't in the Balmer rocks, you were ignored. Great Bear is no exception to that. That was in historically mapped Confederation rocks, and we all remember what happened to Great Bear. It was taken out by Kinross for $2 billion a couple of years ago. So that was all Confederation rocks. Over here, historically, it was all mapped as Confederation rocks. People ignored it. And as part of our friend's master's thesis, she actually confirmed that there's Balmer rocks on our claim package. And she mapped out this contact here. This is that Balmer-Confederation contact. And as part of her thesis, she's actually saying it's the same rocks as Madsen. So here's that contact at Madsen. This is West Red Lake Gold Mines. We're hoping to put this back into production this year. And here's the continuation of it, and there's a gap between them. And that gap is caused by this dotted line, which is a fault, which split the rocks apart. But you don't have to be a geologist to see it. There is a whole dedicated master's thesis that confirms it. But you could see it easily when you're in the field. You see it in the photos here, but most importantly, I think anyone could see it in the geophysics too. You know, purple go matches with purple. You could see exactly where that contact would line up right here. And why is this significant? Well, over here, this is 5 million ounce endowment. There's 2.5 million ounces of past production at 9 grams a ton, and there's another 2 to 2.5 million ounces sitting there in resources. So if there's 5 million ounces along this 10-kilometer contact, what's over here on the other half of that? And that's what we're planning on finding out. So on our initial recon prospecting program, so just last October, we sampled right from bedrock, 373 grams per ton gold. And so this didn't come from a float sample. This came right from the vein on surface. 373 grams a ton gold is, to my knowledge, the highest grade gold sample ever publicly reported from the Red Lake gold camp. So recall, this camp has produced over 30 million ounces, and we're sitting on some of the highest grade graph samples ever taken in the district. So, and it's very low exploration maturity. So this isn't a project that's ever been recycled before. I don't think any of you on this call have heard about it previously, unless you've looked into Athena already. But this is not something that's been recycled from junior to junior throughout every bull market. It's not that kind of story. This is a genuine grassroots project. And we're excited because we have the geophysics done. We have the LiDAR survey data back. And what we need to do now is we want to supplement all of that with till geochemistry. So on about 100 meter by 100 meter grids, we're going to be taking till samples. So it's similar to soil sampling. And what we want to do is supplement the geophysics with some geochemical anomalies. And after we get all the data back and look at it, that's when we want to start drilling this thing. So the till survey is scheduled to commence as soon as the snow melts, so probably in May is when we're looking at doing that. And it's all flow-through eligible to do this program. It's going to cost us roughly $500,000. And right after that, that's when we want to poke some holes at this. Any questions so far? Any questions on Laird Lake? Well, if not, I'll move over to Nevada, but I will say that Laird Lake is our primary focus for now. Again, it's barely been touched before, and we all know the kind of upside that you can get from an initial drill program that knocks it out of the park when you're a sub $10 million market cap company. So, especially in a district like Red Lake. So this is Athena's Nevada portfolio. There's 2 assets that they have, the Crow Springs and the Excelsior Springs. Excelsior is the more advanced of the 2, and it's the project that attracted our team into this. So where we are is we're in the Walker Lane trend, this light orange color. So we're not chasing buried Carlin type deposits like what Newmont and Barrick are chasing in the Northeast. We're chasing stuff that's a lot more manageable for a junior of our size. You know, often these veins stick right out of the ground. You know you're going to hit when you drill them, especially given that we already have a discovery. That being said, majors have moved back into the Walker Lane. You know, Kinross is very active. They're our nearest neighbor on both of our projects. They have the Round Mountain mine. Then the most exciting discovery in the last 20, possibly, yeah, I'd say about 20 years in North America, in my view, is the expanded Silicon North Bullfrog project. Right now, it's already 16.6 million ounces of measured, indicated, and inferred. And no one has heard about it because it was discovered by a major gold company. So it's discovered by Anglo Gold. But to give everyone a sense of how significant this find is, Anglo has spent 40% of its global exploration budget last year on this project. And recall, Anglo does not produce a single ounce of gold in the USA right now. But it's getting 40% of their global exploration spend right here at this project. So their Silicon project, Anglo Silicon project, historically dates back to the 1800s. There was historic underground mining there. And that's very common in this neck of the woods, in the Walker Lane Trend. You're mining these high-grade epithermal veins, often very high-grade gold and silver. And at Excelsior, it's no different. We have at least 3 historic mines on this project and historic workings from the late 1800s. We only have production records for the historic Buster mine, and this is where they have a historic resource, which is only down to 60 meters deep. And the historic production, it was all underground, but they were mining at 41 grams a ton average grade. It's patented ground. We could poke holes here at our leisure. And 2 years ago, Athena stepped out 400 meters away from that Buster mine area, and they discovered a new zone of high-grade mineralization, and they were getting intercepts like 4 grams over 52 meters that terminated in mineralization, a gram over 52 meters, 5.3 grams over 33 meters. And they're getting some sniffs of some other exciting stuff at other zones, like the Ridge Zone, a gram over 24 meters. And then very recently, we actually put out initial results from the Blue Dick area. So this was a historic silver mine. We don't have production records, and it's never seen a drill hole. And we sampled 6.6 kilograms per ton silver on surface. So it's very, very, very high grade silver sitting here. And again, this target has never been drilled. Now, what excites me as a mining engineer is that when you envision this project with a more modern lens, fast forward a couple hundred years, no longer looking in the 1800s, what I see is not a high-grade underground gold camp. I see a large-scale bulk tonnage open pittable target. And to give everyone a sense of, what's the size of the prize here. So the expanded silicon, Anglo Silicon, is several deposits, but the main deposit, silicon, is over 4 million ounces right now. And its alteration footprint, big deposits create big alteration halos around it. It's about 3.5 kilometers long. And what we see here is the same size, 3.5 kilometer long zone of silica clay alteration, similar type of alteration, similar types of intercepts too at our project. The only difference, well, ours is much earlier stage, and it hasn't seen plenty of drilling. But the drilling that we do have, these are world-class intercepts by all measures. 15.3 grams per ton gold over almost 11 meters, 4 grams over 51.8. These are world-class intercepts. I won't get too deep into the geology, but what excites me, so this is your vein type material, which might grade 40-gram material, but the host rock itself can also grade up to a gram. So mineralization isn't confined to these narrow high-grade veins that they were mining. It bleeds out into the host rock around it. And in this part of Nevada, and it's all oxide gold, so presumably heap leachable. In this part of Nevada, for a heap leachable, near surface, open pittable, oxide gold deposit, your cutoff grade that you need is 0.15 grams per ton to 0.2 grams per ton. That's all you need for something to make economic cutoff. So if your host rock is now grading up to a gram, what I now see is an opportunity to, you got these multiple stacked high-grade veins with low-grade mineralization between it, and you can visualize a large-scale open pit wrapping around this. And we think that we're looking at something that is potentially very, very large here at Excelsior. So this is obviously a very exciting project. This just summarizes the transaction. We put out a press release this morning that Athena has now successfully been approved to re-domicile over to BC. And as part of this transaction, so this is the pro forma cap table. As part of this deal, Libra will own 44 million shares in Athena Gold. So we will be one of the largest shareholders. Legacy Management continues to write a check every round. Nubian, which is now called Carlton, they're another company. So it's very, very tight. It's a high share count. Eric Sprott owns a healthy 10 million shares, and there's only about a third in the public float. So the share count, it's high, but it got high organically. This company's been around since 2009. Started off on the OTC. It only cross-listed to the CSE about 3 years ago. Most of the money was raised at 8 cents. So higher, most of the volume that you see traded is by people that actually came in with a higher cost base. What I'm getting at is there's no, what I like to call Vancouver shenanigans. There's no, bunch of cheap paper waiting to hit the market. It's very clean, and it got here 100% organically. This just summarizes the use of proceeds for our next raise. So, and then Excelsior Springs, I'd say this is more ambitious because we will want to be drilling oriented core. We would like to unlock some value at Laird Lake first. It's flow-through eligible, and this company has never raised flow-through. So again, the till survey is going to cost us about $500,000. After that, we want to kick off drilling. It might be done in one larger phase, or it might be done in 2 phases. But yeah, we're looking at poking, call it up to 6,000 meters between both programs, which we feel is enough to kind of drill it and kill it. We want to know if there's a discovery here or not. We are very, I know everyone wants us to drill right away, but our philosophy is to do all of our homework first, maximize our chances of knocking out of the park at the very first go ahead. So our incoming team, we're handed the keys to Athena. We're taking it over. David Goodman is one of the sons of Ned Goodman. So came from a mining family, and he is the former CEO of Dynamic Funds and Dundee Wealth. Dundee Wealth, which sold off to Scotiabank for a couple billion in 2011, and he's a co-founder of Libra alongside myself, and our biggest backer. Ben Kuzmic and Andrew, these are guys that I met during my time at Barrick Gold. We all met while working together at Hemlo. Both these guys are world-class. They both have master's degrees in geology and know what they're doing. And I will say, for a fairly young team, we're all in our young 30s, late 20s, we have seen projects go from exploration to production. We've seen projects go from production to closure. I think what's really important for any geologist and any mining engineer is to know what an economic deposit actually looks like, and to know when do you actually walk away from a project. And the answer is when you no longer think it has a reasonable chance of becoming a mine. That's when you got to walk away. And it's a lot easier said than done. But that's very key to understand. And I think our team has that. It's worth mentioning that the former team is not going anywhere. So the former Athena team, like John Power, John Heiner, and Brian, these guys it was only a board of 3, and they're staying on as a board of 3 for now. So that's a story in a nutshell, and thank you. And if there's any questions, happy to answer.